the football terrace. Let's have a look at some of the comments here that are coming through. Amorim is preparing 17-year-old Goodwill. Is that a Conky for the first team? Well, there's a number of really good young players. You've obviously got the young man Martins that we bought from Arsenal. There's Kone. There's a lot of young talented players, and some of them will get opportunities. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. I will say as well, I feel like the team does need a bit more athleticism. I don't know if you guys notice that.
I was going to touch on this. It does. I don't think he wants that as much. That way he played Bruno Fernandes in the pivot today next to Ogarty proves that he wants more control than athleticism.
No. But we need it all.
I said that many times. Bruno Fernandes is played deep, and I'm not. Listen, this is his second game, and I'm watching the game. I'm like, you really want control. You want Bruno. You know, Bruno Fernandes today had 90 plus touches. That's like Rodri's style. You know, like he wanted Bruno to be on the ball every time, which is Bruno do that for Portugal as well. He plays a little bit deeper. He doesn't play always high next to Ronaldo and Rafael Leao.
Yeah.
I actually think he might play Bruno deeper a little bit or change the formation to accommodate Bruno Fernandes. Because if Bruno Fernandes play higher, he doesn't get on the ball as much like Mason Mount or Garnacho.
I don't know if you saw Amorim's comments on Bruno at the end of the game. Did you see the comments?
No, I didn't. I was here.
Well,
today,
please. Sorry. Today or the last game?
Today, sorry, literally.
Yeah, what did he say?
Yeah, he's basically bigging up Bruno in the sense of he's the key man to start in today's play. Of course, it was an isolation of today's game, so don't read too much into it if you're an extremist. But just taking off what he was talking about, he was explaining how important Bruno is. He's normally the first man to pick up the ball and start off the attack and press from deep. And he appreciated that and valued that. And he also touched on his work rate. I'm sure he touched on his work rate as well. So he's clearly got a play there that he's able to use. Whether we rate him or not is irrelevant. That's not part of the conversation. The conversation is Amorim sees a value in Bruno at current time for today's game. And if you're going to read into that a little bit, then you could see that he's at least going to be playing a lot this season.
Yeah.
And holding down
So for me, when I think about who's going to survive, like I think Bruno survives as long as he wants. And that's based on where he decides he wants to play and how often. Because he's 30. At the end of the day, he's like no one's forever going to be playing at the level he's playing into your mid-30s. I know you play later, but I think Bruno Fernandes is a smart enough player. He can play deeper. He doesn't have to be, like you said, Mo, doesn't have to be super athletic to be useful, in my opinion. So I think he is one of the guys who survives just based on how good he is on the ball and how, like, it's funny because obviously everyone knows I like Bruno, but when people talk about Bruno like he's some dead baller, it's hilarious. It's like, no, he's not. He's a very good footballer. He's a very smart footballer and knows how to play.
Can I pinch on your point quickly? Yeah. Just quickly, just on top of that, on that comment. If the team ends up having the energy around him, for example, I think Kevin De Bruyne gets a bly with this because of the system. The players that are around him doesn't mean he has to do all that running around and tracking the back. Yeah. He's just got a specific role. If we've got 7 or 8 players in that system who are well-oiled, working very well, it then ultimately relieves Bruno of that duty to then put those extra kilometers in where you don't need to.
Which leads into what I was going to say about athleticism. Morris says, Amorim probably doesn't want as much. No, I think he still does. And we still do as a team because it's not just about in the middle of the park, the athleticism. It's everywhere. Our wing-backs aren't quick enough. Our forwards, for all their pace going forward, their pace getting back is dreadful. You know what I'm saying? Like we need more athleticism in the team all around. So when we do have a Bruno, an Eriksen, or let's say a Casemiro playing, I'm just saying those kind of players. I'm not saying him. I'm saying those kind of players, like where they're a bit older, good on the ball, but maybe they're not going to have athleticism to run around. The team can actually help out.
But I don't think we can have many of those.
Honestly, what do you think Mainoo plays then? If everyone is talking about this, what do you think Mainoo plays? If in the formation has a Kvaratskhelia or an Ahmad behind the striker, Bruno
don't know yet. The question is the point is we don't know yet, and I think that it's absolutely okay for Man United fans to not know at this particular juncture and moment in time. What I'd also say about Mainoo is that I know I've certainly said this, and many other United fans like me. I was worried with the amount of game time he had so early in his career. I know he's 6 foot. We said he's 6 foot. I think he's probably 5'11".
No, he's definitely 6 foot. He's almost towards Rashford. You can see
He's tall. He's tall.
He is tall.
Okay. All right, anyway.
No man syndrome's from Terry there. He hates people being taller, so you have to bring them down a bit.
No. It's not that at all. You saw the little man syndrome from KJ because he's tall like me. He is tall. But the point is, right?
You might have the ball off is crazy still.
Yeah.
Well, then he's just like 6'3" or something.
That's 2 guys at 5'10" having a fight. Anyway, back to my point. I think with Kobbie, I don't want him playing 50, 60 games a season at 18, 19 years of age, because although he's built like a man and he's got size on him already, I just feel that, everyone's spoken in recent times about Saka's injury problems and they're worried about his long-term future because of the amount of game time he's had as such a young player. I worry about that for someone like Mainoo, especially with the amount of running Ten Hag was having him do. So I'm quite happy that he hasn't played in his opening 2 games. I want to see him and I'm excited about it, but you don't need to rush a young player in. On Bruno tonight, though, I wanted to say as well, 88% pass completion, which is about 10% higher than when he plays in the 10. And he only lost possession 10 times, which is around 50% of what he normally does. So it demonstrates he can play this role. He does it for Portugal very, very well, but it's about structure. No matter how good a player is, if they're in a team that lacks structure, lacks direction, and it becomes a little bit of a free-for-all, and not just, at the edge of the box, you want there to be creative freedom. But when it comes to the actual build-up from the back to the front, there needs to be a structure to it. That isn't a new phenomenon, by the way, as well. Sir Alex's teams had structure. Wenger's teams have structure. Brian Clough's teams had structure. Liverpool in the 70s had structure. A lot of young fans try and pretend that, it's only been since Pep's been a manager in the Premier League that everyone's had a structure and built from the back. Playing out from the back's a bit more of a modern-day phenomenon, but there's still been a structure to the build-up of a team, as an example. And Bruno can do that role. However, United fans then, though, you've got to hold back. He isn't going to get the same level of goals and assists that he did when he first came into the side. But I'm happy with it. I was really happy with him today. And I was really happy with Ugarte. I thought Ugarte grew into the game as well, especially and then we haven't really spoke about it on this show, that subtle change in the second half from Amorim, where Garnacho held the width and the low inverted, but we went back into a back 4 when defending rather than a back 5. And I know we've spoken about this on Straight Facts loads, Mo, and how too many fans get obsessed over, is it 4 at the back, 5 at the back? Is it a 4-2-3-1, a 4-3-3, a 3-4-3? They're variations of exactly the same thing in essence when you look at the heat maps. And I really like that that little change. And maybe that's what we try again on Sunday now. Maybe the manager goes, right, we'll have a back 3 when we're attacking, and we'll go to a back 4 when we're defending, which isn't too dissimilar from a lot of teams that play 4-3-3 will have their fullbacks push forward when they're attacking, and we'll have a number 6 drop back into almost a centre-back role and go 3 at the back. And that's why I think people are too overly focused on what's the formation. I care more about the structure of the team in and out of possession. Do we fill the holes? Do we dominate the territories and the pockets when we've got the ball? And I felt like the second half there was a really good blueprint for the future. There's a long way to go, and I'm seeing a lot of rival fans online tonight say we don't look that great yet. We still stink, etc. There's a long way to go to develop this team. But for me, I don't know about you guys, I just feel like there's something here for us to grow from.